Welcome back, friend. In this video, we are going to be working on a variety of different papers. And the reason we're going to do that is I want to show you this week how I'm going to create collage papers. And in our next video, I'm going to show you how I use those to work on my composition and strengthen my ability to create compositions. So this week, we'll just have some fun. We're only going to work with black paint, maybe white paint also. How about black and white? We'll just do those two colors, and then we're going to set those aside. And when I come back next week in the next video, we will work on using all of those to create composition and help you just really work on your ability to create compositions. Okay, so let's get started. I've got a variety of different papers here. This one, my favorite, which is just tissue paper. So if you've got tissue paper laying around, go grab one piece of that. I've got wax paper, and in my last video, or one of my previous videos, I was talking about this and I couldn't find the box, and I located it. I have had this probably for, I want to say 8 years, and it's only half empty. So this one box goes a long ways. This one I bought at Costco, but certainly you can buy it just about anywhere. All right, so that's what I've got here. This one's got a rip in it, but no big deal. This is a little piece of it as well. Here I have newspaper print, and I've got a fairly large piece. You know, I think I got this at a workshop I attended, and so this was my spare pieces, and I took it home with me. So if you've got something like this, use it. If you don't worry about it. I just want to have a bit of a variety today. And I need some water. Sorry, my throat is a bit dry. I can feel it scratching already. I also have this tracing paper, and I can't remember. I think I may have just bought it recently. I don't recall. But this is very thin paper. Again, I love the thin paper because when I go to do a collage, I don't like the paper to be really thick. I like to keep it really thin. So I'm going to use a piece of this. Maybe two of these. All right, so again, if you don't have tracing paper, don't run out and buy it. I don't want you to, do that. I'm hoping that you have at least some tissue paper laying around the house. Go check your drawer in the kitchen for some wax paper. And if you don't have the newsprint, then grab some regular printer paper, because that'll work as well. All right, so that's the variety I'm going to be using today. Please use what you've got at home. And we're going to start with, I've got my carbon black here. I'm going to put some of this out. Let's grab a bit here, and there's a chunk of it that's dry. I'm not really sure how much I'm going to need. I think that'll be okay. All right, and I said I was going to use white as well, but let's start with black. You know what? Let me just put out some white. Let's just put it out here now. That way I'm ready to go. All right, grabbing a bunch of white here. Kind of turned grayish, but that's all right. And I'm going to wipe that off. Okay. So let's start with, let's start with the tracing paper. And I'm sorry, I know this is a little hard to see through all of this craziness I've got going on under here. Let me see if I've got something I can put. Here we go. I'll put this piece here. Now you can see that it's just white. And I'm going to grab a brush, fairly small brush. I don't know what size this is because it's totally worn off. It says 1.0 China. This was probably in some kit somewhere. All right, so let's do this. I wet it, and I'm going to put it in my black, and I'm going to start making some marks. All right, so here are some marks. I'm going to interrupt my own video to ask you if you could please give me a thumbs up. It really means a lot to me, and it helps other folks find my videos. And also, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, and it gives you an opportunity to find out when I have another video available. I'm excited to be here and build this community with you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's get back to the fun. I decided not to go back over these because I like the variety that it's offering. All right, so we've got a row of that. Let's do something different now. Let's grab, oh, let me see, where is my rigger? I want a really thin one. I don't know where I left my rigger. I'm wondering if I left it by the sink over there. Okay, different plan. Let's do, I have this skewer and it's got some paint stuck at the tip of it. I'm going to use this. So I'm going to take my black and I'm just going to make some circles like this. So I'm looking for variety when I'm doing this for our next video. When we're working on composition, I want to have a variety of different marks that I can choose from. I don't want them to be identical. I don't want them to be the same size. I want them all to be different. Okay, so we've got some interesting swirls there. Some are a little darker, some are a little lighter. All right, so that's a good variety there. Let's do another row here, and this time I want some larger. So we want to look at scale. We don't want everything to be the same thinness or thickness. We want to have all that variety. So we want thicker lines and thinner lines and something really dark, something light, something white, something black. So let me grab a bigger brush. Let's go with this one here. I'm going to wet it a bit and I'm going to go back into that black and let's make some, I don't know, let's do them this way. Since I've already got these lines going this way, which it's not going to matter. I'm going to end up cutting these up, but just to add some variety. All right, so we've got some nice thicker lines going on here. One more row. All right, I'm going to set this aside and we're going to, whoa, that's curling under. All right, so that's going to happen. It's going to curl under because I wet the whole thing. Let me hit it with my heating tool real quick to keep it from curling under so much. So what I'm noticing here is that it does wrinkle a little bit. I probably can't quite see it there, but it's wrinkling just a little bit. I'm not going to worry about that because, like the drips that I just did there, we'll just add that variety there. Because when I go to use a matte medium on it, I'm going to try to smooth that out. So maybe we'll get some wrinkles. That'll work too. All right, I'm going to set this one aside and we'll move on to this piece here. Let's do this one in white, just so we're not doing the same thing on all of them. So wetting my brush again, I'm going to dry it off just a tiny bit. Let's go into the white. And I want to make some marks again. So we've got those marks. How about I do some white circles? We'll just do some circles here. We'll do a half circle here since I don't have any more room. Okay, hopefully you can see that. Notice it's curling under again. And I guess one thing you can do is put a little bit of tape if that's going to bug you. I'm going to smooth this out because I've got a really thick edge there. I'm just going to smooth that out a bit. Okay, let's move on. Duck that in water and grabbing, here's another one similar to the one that I had before, but a little bit different. And let's go ahead and use the white again. And I'm going to, okay, so we've got these lines over here. I want to do something a little bit different, not exactly the same. What can I do? Maybe just something like this. I'm really looking forward to the next video doing the compositions for these, using these. I took a workshop many years ago, and it was at the local community college, or it was an extension course, I should say, and it was all about composition and collage and composition, and wow, I learned so much taking that. I didn't think I was going to like it because I was, you know, painting a lot and I wasn't really into collage, but I just learned so much about composition in that course, which I really, you know, was struggling with composition at the time and trying to figure things out, and it was so helpful, even though we weren't actually doing a lot of painting. Okay, so we got that row done. Let's move on to another row. What can we do? You know what I'm going to grab? All right, so I have talked about, there was a time that I just did mixed media work, and I got rid of like almost all of my supplies, but I did save this bag of different tools to make marks, and I was so glad I came across this. So what I'm going to do is, let's grab something out of here. Let's see, maybe this was like, I don't know, some kind of strainer for something, so I've used this. I bet you've got a lot of stuff around the house that you can use. This is one of my favorites. This is a cut up piece from, and in here I also had like toilet paper rolls that I would use, or this I think was a tape roll, and this one doesn't do the double. It is double. I have another one that the double is actually lined up with this top one. So that's fun to use. These are great because you can change the shapes of them so that they're not perfectly round. You can do something like this and make some marks with that. I love this. This is a shelf liner, one of those rubber shelf liners, and I just cut them up into pieces. So I think this would be fun to use. So I'm going to, whoops, I'm going to grab the white. We'll finish up over here with white. Let me wipe off that very wet brush. Let's see. I'm going to just put some on here like this and press down, and you can barely see that, so maybe this isn't the best idea. And look, all of my dry paint just fell all over the place here. Let's try this. You know, the other thing we can do is, why don't we do this instead? Let's see how that looks. Yeah, I can see that better, so I'm going to do that. And you don't want this brush too wet when you're doing kind of a stencil effect. You want to keep that fairly, you know, dry, in the sense that you don't overload it with paint, and definitely don't put some water on it. And that way you get the effect much better. And as it offloads more, I'm pressing down even harder so that I can get it to get the paint to come through. All right, so we got an interesting design there. I'll show that to you up close. All right, I love that. That looks really cool. Okay, so that's what we've got on this one. Oh, and that dried paint just all went flying off. All right, we'll set this one aside, and let's move on to, how about wax paper? So let's do one of these. Like I said, this one's ripped, but no big deal. We'll use it anyway. How about we do half black, half white? Now, what can we do that's different from what we already did? So again, we want to add some variety. So let's do, you know what I was thinking? I'm going to do this with black. I just wet my brush. I had the black on there. And let's just do some drips. So we'll do an area of drips over here. And I called this drips. I didn't mean to call it drips. I keep saying that. This is splatters, so doing splatters. We can do some drips. A little harder to do, I don't know, on wax paper. You know what, let's try that. Let's try some drips. So you want your brush fairly wet when you are doing drips. And I'm just going to lift this up here and attempt to do this. This paper is very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not going to, it's not very stiff, so it's a little harder to do. All right, we're just playing around and finding different ways that we can make marks. I like doing this with mostly organic marks. So I could bring in, there we go. They're just some lines, but you know what? I'm okay with that. Let me wipe this off so it doesn't get to the back side. So much for that white that I had, right? Let's see if I turn this over. Oh, this side's not too bad. There we go. All right, so we've got some, organic marks. And what I mean by that is, going back to this one, this one is, the marks are much more structured. Or here, I've got some cap to something. This is a very structured mark. It's perfectly circular. Nothing wrong with that. We can include some of these too, but I like having more organic marks. Let's do, what would be fun to do? Trying to find my, here it is, bubble wrap. Oh, and I found my rigger. It was under that bag, so we can use that. All right, so this is fun. I'm going to try to wipe off this old dry paint here. Get some of that off. All right, so these are these perfect little circles, but when you press them down, they're not all perfect. So let's give that a try. I'm going to grab my brush over here, and I want to dry it off because I don't want it to be very wet. All right, let's go into the black, and I'm just going to run across this. I did put hand lotion on before I got started, just so it makes it easier for me to get this paint off my hands. All right, let's do, and I know I said we're going to do white over here, but I'm going to just continue on with the black. There we go. Don't you just love that? And let's use up whatever's left here. I'm just going to press a little harder. Aha, so perfect. All right, I'm not going to do that all the way down the page. I would like to do some in white, or maybe a gray. So let's go in here. And I say gray because I've already got some white, some black on here. It may have already dried. It's such a thin layer, but let's do this. Aha, kind of grayish. I like that. Pressing harder for the second pass. And we see a little bit more white there and some old paint stuck on there. I think that just adds some more interest. All right, what can we do down here? Having pure white ones would be nice, but it's going to require cleaning this off. So let's do that real quick. I think my rags are even a work of art, don't you think? Look at those colors. So beautiful. I love this section right here. All right, let's try this with just trying to get some white on here. I'm not sure if that's going to work because I can see that this has already turned kind of gray, but we shall try anyway. Aha, that's a bit whiter. Press this one down. There we go. That's got a mix in it because I pressed harder. All right, I love all of these. Let me just clear that off a bit. That is not dry. my splatters have kind of turned into drips, but that's okay. All right, let's set this one aside as well. And I want to use the Did I use tissue paper? I have not used the tissue paper yet, so let's do some tissue paper. Get this opened up, and I'm going to cut this so it's a bit smaller. I'm not even going to bother cutting. All right, let's just rip off a piece, and let's use this. Now, what can we do that's going to be different from everything else we've done? I talked about bringing in something like this that's a bit more structured, but it's still going to be kind of organic somewhat. Maybe we just crisscross over like that. Again, we're experimenting, we're just having some fun. There is no right or wrong here. The only thing I'm going to encourage you to do is to get variety. So we did get some thicker marks, some big marks, some smaller, some medium size. I want some variety. The more variety we have, the more we're going to be able to choose from when we start working on our compositions. Okay, I like that. You know, it's structured, but it's kind of organic at the same time. All right, let's move on to doing some more here. Oh, this. Okay, so I put these rubber bands on this golden, this is dried out, so I can't even use the quinacridone nickel, which they don't even sell anymore from what I understand. But I put some rubber bands on here, and I wanted to try just rolling some paint into that. So let's start with the white this time instead of going to the black. Let's put out some paint, and I'm going to just roll that in there like that. All right, it's not quite catching it everywhere, but let's give this a try. Oh yes. Okay, love that. Here, let me hold it up for you so you can see that. I love those lines. Now we could cross over, you know what, because we have a whole bunch of other lines. Let's load this up again, and let's crisscross over it. So let's go this way. All right, I'm loving that even more. Okay, just a little bit more. And I know you can barely see this. I feel like I should do it in black as well, because I really do love this look. So I'm going to spread out my black paint here, and we'll just roll right into that. I am not neat about this. You can see it's kind of picking up where it shouldn't, but now you can really see this. Look at that. Now this is where I should have cleaned this off, but it's all good. It's all good. And I'm going to cross over this way because I really like that look of it crossing over. Kind of like a plaid look, right? All right, one more over here. Oh, that might be my best one right there. All right, I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to dip my fingers in my water over here, which is extremely gray, but that's all right. Just want to wipe some of that off. There we go. Okay, so we've got a variety happening here. I have a little bit left over. What can we do that's going to add some variety? I'm wondering if I should go back to doing something large again. I know I've got a few things that are large here. Let me just think through this process. I would like to do some circles again, but I don't want we did these super large ones, and we did these kind of thinner ones, but I want something in between. I'm going to grab this brush here. I don't know what this is. It says it's a round number 8. Let's just go into the black, and I'm just going to make some. I should do this with my non-dominant hand, just so I can really keep it organic. Take one right off the page there. I always love having half circles. we go. Do one here. Okay, I hope you're having as much fun as I am. I love making marks. I am such a mark maker. Okay, love, love, love everything here. Super happy with this. Okay, I want to do one more just so we have enough variety to pick from in the next video that we do. All right, so going back to, this was the newsprint. You can get this at Michael's. And we really don't need a lot. I'm gonna, let's see, I've got 2 pieces here. Oh, and there's some tape there. Let me just throw down one. This one is totally wrinkled too. Maybe we'll use this side. I'm gonna cut this in half. Okay, set that down. And I want to go back to doing some more white. We've got this whole sheet of white here, and we've got some over here that we did. Although black, I really love having more. I love having a lot of black. So I'm thinking maybe half and half. Okay, let's go back to over here, and you know, another more organic thing that we can do. I have got, shoot, this has got color in it. This is great because it's a needle nose or a very thin applicator, and I could do a whole bunch of swirls with it, but I've got a color in here and I don't want to do that. But what if we took, let's see, I'm grabbing over here. I do have a paint pen. Do you guys have paint pens? This is an acrylic paint pen. I'm going to use this, but if you don't, I think a Sharpie would work as well. I bet you have a Sharpie on hand. So let's start with the paint pen. Oh boy, that's dried out a bit. With paint pens, you have to push them down to get the flow going, unless it's totally dried out. I finally got that somewhat going, but it's going to make some interesting marks. So I'm going to, what I really wanted to do was to come in and make some circles again, but it looks too much like what I've already got over here. I don't want it to be identical. So instead, I'm going to just do these pressing down because it's making an interesting pattern. Okay, good enough. I'm surprised that it still kept doing the same pattern all the way over here. I thought maybe it would fill up a bit more, but it didn't. That's all right. I love that. And then if you've got a Sharpie, we can make some marks with a Sharpie. Hopefully this one's working well. All right, so let's look at, maybe we can go with some really thin lines. I'm kind of looking at what I've got over here. You know what, let's do something like this. We'll do a few lines of this. It's kind of a medium-sized shape, but a thin line. Okay, that's good. I want to add in some more thicker lines, and we had done these white circles. I would like to do some black circles. So I'm going to grab my big brush here, and I'm going to just come in here and do some large circles like this, because we want to make sure we've got a variety of different sizes and shapes. It's just going to make our next video, when we're working on composition, it's going to make it that much easier when we've already got these ready to go. All right, that. And let's do the same over here, going back to white. I'm going to make some marks here. I love when this splits open like that. It makes an interesting shape. Oops, I pressed down a little too hard there. All right, that's something that I simply could not do, right? So we're having some fun letting the brush do whatever it wants, whatever shape it wants to make. All right, I think that's good. I'm going to show that to you up close because I love that. Isn't that fascinating? The way the brush just kind of opens up in the center, so it makes these interesting marks. All right, and let's go back to, how about trying to just kind of get a feel for what do I have? I want some really tiny, tiny marks. So what can I do to make some really tiny marks? I'm looking at my bag of stuff here, just seeing if I probably don't have anything that's going to make really tiny marks. Oh, but you know what? I've got these gift cards. These are great. Let's do some gift card marks. These make really great straight edges. Now I know we've got edges here, but these are a bit more organic. Let's go with these straighter edges. I'm going to put some more paint here. And just move that over a bit. Some of those are a lot thicker than others. I'm going to just let that dry and not mess with it. Okay, so we've got some, see the difference between, you know, we have black and very organic versus very straight lines in white. So I like that we've got that variety happening. And I wanted to see what else can I grab out of here. You know what, why don't we do, I know I used a cork before. We've got these circles here, but this is much larger if I use this cork, and it's definitely smaller than that and smaller than that. So let's do that. Okay, I'm going to come in. I think I'm going to need some more black, or I can just paint it on. There we go. Again, they're not perfect, but they're perfectly imperfect, which is my definition of perfect. We don't want them to look all identical and all perfectly filled in solid. At least I don't. If you want to do that, go for it. I shouldn't say you don't. I don't want you to have that. You know, if that makes you happy, then do that. It's all about what makes us happy, right? In order for us to create what we create, we have to create from the heart, and what lights us up, what makes us say, ooh, I like that. All right, that's good. I think that's a good amount. I love those. All right, I would like to do that in, cheers, I would like to do that in white as well. So let's do the cheers side. Oops, I kind of put too much and it's smeared. Love, love, love that. Wow, just on this piece here, we've got the nice larger pieces, and we've got some really small ones happening here, which I think maybe I did check that. I can check that box saying we got something small, but I would like something small in white. So what can we do? We can try to do splatters in white. That'll leave us a bunch of small dots. Or we can, let's see, we're doing all of this in paint, but technically, I shouldn't say technically, however, you can grab your mark making, and like I've got this white Stabilo Woody here, and what if I just came in, oh, you could barely see that. Not a good idea. That's why white paint is going to work better. All right, nix that idea. I'm going to, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab the back of a pencil to make dots. So let's do that. We're going to grab this one, which is from, I always teach at Santa Fe Artist Getaway, so Bev, thank you. And actually, we'll do this side. That way I can still use this eraser. And this is going to be larger than that. Ugh, I'm not doing a good job here. I'm trying to get a nice circle. Semi-nice circle. All right, I'm just going to go with those because they're okay, but I wanted something even smaller. I'm going to go do my splatters. So I'm dipping my brush in water because it needs to be really wet, and I'm just going to do some splatters right here. Okay, so I'm hoping I've got enough variety going on here that we've got enough to work with the next time I bring you a video. We're going to be using all of these, let them dry fully, set them aside, and I will show you in the next video how we're going to work on composition. We're going to work small, so if you have, I'm going to give you a heads up right now, if you have 4x6 cards or 3x5 cards, that might be too small. Go for 4x6. If you've got 4x6 cards, get those ready, and that can be anything like, for example, I've got this watercolor. I don't like watercolor, and so I've been trying to use this up. The back side of these watercolors I like because they're a lot flatter than the front side. So I'm going to end up cutting up these into 4x6 pieces to use in the next video. All right, so I will catch you in the next video. Thanks for being here, and if you want more videos like this, just leave me a comment below. I'm trying to expand a bit from just doing the videos where I'm creating a piece of art and show you some different things that we can be doing to strengthen our skills as an artist. So comment down below, let me know if you're enjoying these kinds of videos. All right, and share it with a friend. Okay, thanks for being here. I will see you in the next video, all right? Have a super fabulous and creative day. Take care.